Welcome to the Young CEO Mastermind call. We host these every single Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm your host. My name is Andre Kennedy, aka Free Play Dre, and we are going to go over some valuable information once again. Today, the topic is going to be now that I have $150,000 worth of credit capital, what should I be investing my capital into? Okay, so let's go over. You see, I got the whiteboard out today, so we're definitely going to go into a mastermind session. Networking with people is going to help us all to get to the next level. So as people begin to start joining the live session, we'll have more, opinions and more input throughout the video. But just to start off the call, we're going to talk about things that we can invest our capital into, our credit capital. Okay, so um, you might have been following me for a while, and you guys have potentially came to me to fix your credit, and we have done some credit repair for you, and now you're sitting at a 700 plus credit score. What I want to stress to you guys, which is important, is that it's not so much about the score, it's more or less about the profile. Okay. And what do I mean by that? Basically, that means, you can have a 700 plus credit score and only have maybe one or two or three credit builders on your profile. Now, with that being said, that's not necessarily a thick credit profile, which is what the banks are actually looking for. Okay, when we're talking about a thick credit profile, we're talking about multiple trade lines, preferably high credit limits, and low utilization on these credit cards. Not to mention the access to having business credit as well, right? So I didn't just get to $150,000 worth of credit capital simply by maxing out my personal credit, okay? I had to dip into business credit, right? Which means I created an LLC, which means I went through NAV and I got monitoring for my business credit profile, which means I applied for business credit cards, which means I had 0% interest business credit. And this is the capital that we're going to be talking about, and how we can actually invest this money to be able to make us money. Okay. So there's a couple ways that I personally did it. I started off with rental cars. Okay, so some of you guys know, if you're in the local area of Pittsburgh, you guys know that I run a rental car business, and I basically buy cars using my credit, and I rent them out on a daily basis to make money. Okay, so it becomes a loop, right? I use the bank's money to purchase the vehicles, and then after I purchase the vehicles, I put them on either a platform or I do private rentals, right, through contracts and other things. And I pretty much rent out these cars for about $50 to $100 per day. Okay, so that's roughly my price range when it comes to the rental car space. Now, when it comes to the rental car space, there's a lot of different vehicles that you can go for. My recommendation was to go for, lower end cars, and these cars are actually utilized to be able to rent out for cheaper prices, right? The more affordable the vehicle is, the more bookings potentially you can get. Okay, the higher end cars might do well, but they're going to do well in higher end areas, right? If I was in maybe Miami or somewhere where people are traveling to very often, and obviously they have the money to travel, so they have the money to book those type of cars, I would be going for higher end vehicles potentially, like your Lamborghinis and other things of that sort. But me personally, I'm sticking with the lower end vehicles. My sweet spot was around the $5,000 to $7,000 range, and these vehicles that I've been using, I've been renting them out for about $50 per day, roughly. Okay, so that's pretty much what I utilized to get started with. Then, as I progressed, I moved into real estate, which allowed me to, from the money that I was receiving from the rental car business, I used it to then invest into real estate properties. Okay, so I was buying real estate properties for, pretty much pennies on the dollar compared to what they are listed on the market. I was buying off market properties, and I was using those properties to now cash flow and obtain rental income. Right, I fixed it up, used the capital to fix it up, and I use these properties to then rent out. Okay, so then after I started renting out properties, started getting not only the car rental income, but I also began to get the rental property income. And those combined allow me to purchase another property. Okay, so now, it's just a snowball effect, right? That's what we call the snowball effect. Once you get one business up and going, if you have the investor's mindset and you never have plans to quit, then you start taking that excess capital and diversifying your portfolio into other different avenues, right? So I went into car rentals, then I got into real estate, and also bought a couple vending machines along the way. Okay, so I'm currently in the process of this summer going to be placing vending machines in different locations, in which I'll cash flow those as well. So as an entrepreneur, the idea is to basically diversify your portfolio. So what I want to do today is basically, you see, I have the whiteboard out. I just want to go into a little mastermind about, basically what we can invest our credit capital into. So I have a list of things that we can discuss. We're just going to mastermind. So if you guys have any potential business opportunities or business minded investments, feel free to comment those and I'll add them to the list. So what we're talking about is what can we invest $150,000 worth of credit capital into? Okay, so number one, we already discussed. Okay, number one, we already discussed cars. Okay, now cars you can do multiple things with. Hopefully you guys can see that. But cars you can do multiple things with, right? Nowadays, there's the gig economy business. You guys can take your credit capital, you can invest into a vehicle, right? If you're just starting out, you just got a hold of maybe $5,000 to $7,000 worth of credit capital. You can actually go and purchase a vehicle, and you can either DoorDash, you can Uber, you can Grubhub, right? These are a couple different avenues to recoup your investment back so that you can pay off the balance on that credit card, but you still have a vehicle that you can now make money from. So you just created a job or an additional stream of income. If you already work a job, now you have an additional stream of income where you can take the extra hours where you're not working and you can go out and you can do Uber, DoorDash, or Grubhub. Okay, so the gig economy business would be good. Take your credit capital and invest into cars. Okay, that's something that I also did starting out. As I was built my credit, I got a couple of vehicles. Well, I got one vehicle, and I started to DoorDash, Uber, and I didn't get into Grubhub, but I know that was another alternative source as well. So the gig economy business, or you can rent them out. So gigs or rent. Okay, so number one was cars. Number two, and like I said, you guys can also participate if you guys have any other investment stream ideas. You guys can drop them in the comments, and I'll add them to the list. But number two, lawn equipment. Right, you can start a little business. Hopefully, you guys can see all this. But you can start a business and you can get into landscaping, right? You can use your credit capital and you can go out and you can purchase some lawn equipment. And with that lawn equipment, you can go out and you can mow some yards. And yes, you'll recoup your investment, but everything else after that is profit, right? So now you're getting into the mindset of what you can actually do with credit once you've obtained credit capital. And now you can get into maybe starting additional stream of income, right? Another business. So landscaping with lawn equipment. Um, I know a lot of you guys might like this one. You can start with merch, right? Number three, you can start with merch. You could go out and you could start buying, your t-shirt equipment, right? You can buy heat press, you can buy, t-shirt transfers, and you could start you a little, you know, t-shirt business. If you have a good um drafted picture or a good artistic ability, you can place that on a shirt and you can sell those t-shirts for, whatever, 15, $20, $30 for a t-shirt, and you can start you a little t-shirt business, right? And you can brand yourself, and you can sell those on a website, right? You can ship them out and you can make a decent amount of money just by doing a t-shirt business. Okay, so t-shirts is another way to invest your credit capital into the equipment that you can make the t-shirts with, and you can start a business with that, right? So that's something that you could take your credit capital and invest into. Okay, so we talked about cars, lawn equipment, merch. Another big one is trucks. Okay, trucks. The trucking business is pretty quiet right now, in my opinion, right? I believe that, you know, the transportation business, you can make a lot of money in that industry, and it's really slept on, especially in 2024, right? Us as young entrepreneurs, we can really, dive into this industry and make a lot of money. Okay. So with your credit capital, you can actually go out and you can acquire a box truck, right? And you can, get on these different apps or different platforms where you can pick up routes, right? And you can go out and you can deliver one product to a company to and from, right? And they'll pay you premium prices for that type of transition, right? You can actually make thousands of dollars just from doing simple routes from point A to point B. Okay, so that's another industry that's pretty slept on, but I want to inform you guys that you can take your credit capital and then you can invest into a truck and you can run these routes on your own. And that would be an additional stream of income and potentially become your mainstream of income. Okay, so the trucking business is something that I'm actually interested in, and I'm actually looking into getting into it a little bit deeper here in the near future. So, trucking is another investment idea that you can take your credit capital and now invest into. Okay. So you can also do moving jobs in your local area, right? You can start a moving company and you can move furniture, right, for individuals that are local in your area. Okay. So you could take your credit capital and you can invest into trucks and you can start a moving company. Okay. Now, obviously, you would need some sort of place to store it in between, or you would need a helper. You have to pay somebody to help you out because you can't move, big couches by yourself. But you could start you a moving company, you and your buddies, and you can make a lot of profit doing that, right? Charging maybe $500 a session or whatever your prices might be. Okay, so you could start a moving company if you have a truck. Okay. Another thing that you could take your credit capital and invest into is number five, vending machines. I had mentioned this a little bit earlier. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but you can take your credit capital and you can invest into vending machines. Okay. So vending machines or slash ATM machines, right? Both of those are pretty profitable as long as you're finding a high traffic area, right? You can go out to different business owners and you can pitch your service, right? Hey, I can provide snacks, I can provide drinks, or you can simply just provide them a way to transfer the money from their debit cards into cash so that they can use that at whatever location that they're actually at via a ATM machine, right? Or people are withdrawing money from their debit or their checking accounts, in order to purchase whatever they have in store. Okay, so you can pitch that idea to individuals that have high traffic areas or locations, and you can make a profit in between, right? So vending machines and ATM machines would be a good avenue to take your credit capital and invest into in order to make some profits. Okay, so that is another one. This is another unique one that hasn't been talked about too much, but it is number 6, which is dog breeding. Dog breeding. I know one of my students, her name is Sharice. She's actually in the business of doing dog breeding. She has French bully pit bulls, okay, or French bullies, right? So what she did was she took her credit capital and she purchased a dog from another individual and made sure it had its shots and everything like that. But now she actually breeds the dogs, and I believe she gets about $4,000 per dog of the offspring. Okay, so that's another avenue that you can then take your credit after you've obtained good credit and you've obtained the funding. Now you can take this credit capital and you can go and invest into dogs, and you can start a dog breeding business. Okay, so that was number 6, which was dog breeding. We also, another big one that I talked about a little earlier, number 7, which is real estate. Okay, real estate is a big one, right? Taking your credit capital and investing into the avenue of real estate, right? You can find cheap off market properties a lot of times from wholesalers, from sometimes even the MLS will have the listing service, multi-family listing service. You can actually find cheap off market property or on market properties on there as well. Me personally, I found my first deal was off market from an individual in my local area I knew, and he happened to be selling his property, and I purchased the property off of him. The second property that I obtained was through a mortgage loan. Okay. And the third property that I've obtained now, which is also going to be a rental, is was purchased from a wholesaler. Okay, so these are 3 different avenues. Now you can also look on your local tax lien list in your local area. You can go to tax deeds, people who owe taxes still on their property, and you can actually pay, right, for the taxes that they owe on the property, and you can actually potentially obtain the house just from them owing you the back taxes on the property. Okay, so that's another way to pick up cheap off market deals in real estate. Okay, you can also use your credit, right? A portion of your credit, plus you'll have to have pay stubs, your last 2 tax returns, and you can go and get a mortgage loan. Okay, and you can get a $100,000 property using an FHA with a 3.5% down payment on that actual property. Okay, so that's another avenue that you guys can take your credit because you have good credit now. You can invest into. Okay, you'll have the down payment, you'll have the funds to be able to cover the closing costs, right? You'll be able to do these things when you have good credit. Okay, so real estate is another big avenue that you guys can get a hold of, and you can really make a lot of profits from buying and holding and then renting them out. Okay, so that's another big avenue. So speaking of real estate, this falls into that category, which is number 8. Hopefully you guys can see that, which is event spaces. I've been hearing a lot of this on YouTube and other platforms, TikTok and things like that, where people have been taking, credit capital, and they've been paying a lease for a event space, an event space, and they've been making a lot of profits from hosting, weddings, birthday parties, baby showers, and things like that, right? So you can, pretty much pay for the lease of an event space and then host different sessions, right? Weddings, baby showers, etc. So getting into an event space business can be very profitable as well. Um, so event spaces would be number 8. Another avenue that you guys can invest into, speaking of, real estate and event spaces, you can also get into storage units. Okay, so we'll put that as number 9. Storage units. Okay, so you guys can actually purchase um, storage units using your credit. Right now, this is more into the commercial space side of things, but this is like a passive income stream, more or less. You can actually buy storage units, and people, obviously rent them out every single month, a space in your storage facility. And you basically just have a garage opening door where they can store, maybe whatever 8 by 8 foot space or 10 by 10, whatever your storage facility can, accommodate. You guys can make a lot of money from owning and hosting a storage facility within your local area. Obviously, location, location, location with any form of real estate, that's always going to be important. But these are different avenues that you guys can get into in order to make profits using your credit. Okay, so that's just a couple avenues that you guys can get into. That's about 9 different sources of income that you can create simply by having good credit. Another thing, a couple alternatives that I didn't mention, but I'm not going to put them on this list just for the simple fact of they're more or less financial avenues, and these are more or less like hard assets that you can actually get into. But those avenues would be um, stocks, high yield savings accounts, certificate of deposits, right? A CD, if you guys have ever heard of that. Life insurance policies, right? These are different avenues where you can actually take your credit capital, you can invest into and receive a profit, um, depending on how you operate your finances, right? Me personally, right now, high yield savings accounts are yielding about roughly a 5% interest rate. So you can actually make a decent profit just by putting a large sum of money into a high yield savings account, and you can get dividends every single month. Okay, same thing with stocks. If you invest into ETFs or REITs, right? Seek professional advice. This is my disclaimer. Seek professional advice. Don't listen to me, just a guy on YouTube. But you guys can seek a CPA, and they can give you further information on how to invest your money into the stock market. Okay. But if you invest into ETFs, which is a basket full of stocks, you can actually yield dividends, and you'll get the benefit of the capital gains every time that stock increases in value. You get additional profits. Okay. On average, ETFs have gone up about roughly 10 to 12% yearly. So this is a long-term game, right? When you're getting into the stock market, you should be investing for the long-term game, right? We're talking about years and years and years down the road, right? Not just getting in and getting out. That's a different type of trading mentality, where it takes a lot of skill and a lot of knowledge of what the market currently is doing in order to invest in that avenue. But as far as ETFs, that's a type of buying and holding strategy. Okay, so you can actually get into what's called the S&P 500, which is the top 500 companies in the stock market, and you can invest into that avenue, and you can leave your money in there with a guaranteed, I don't want to say guaranteed, but roughly a guaranteed average of about 10 to 12% yearly on your money. Okay, so that's another avenue. That's how a lot of people became rich and financially wealthy, simply by just continuously depositing money into their brokerage account, which is holding a portion of ETFs. Okay, so that's a good avenue to get into as well. So those are some alternatives to invest your money into. We talked about all these different ways that you can take your credit capital and you can invest into in order to make profits. Okay. So, like I told you guys at the beginning of the video, I personally invest into three different avenues as of currently. I'm into car rentals, I'm into real estate, and I'm getting into vending machines even more as we speak. So those are my top three, considering this whole list. But all these avenues, like I said, it's like a snowball effect. Once you get credit capital, you can now invest into various different things. You become an investor with the investor's mindset, and you're looking for things that continuously cash flow. Okay, so that is the power of having OPM, right? Other people's money, aka the banks. Okay, getting into the credit space, I learned that these banks will literally give you money in order to go out there and invest, right? Take risks, right? When I purchased real estate, there was no guarantee that I was going to get a return on my money. But I put in the sweat equity, I put in the work in order to get the property to the point where it can actually be rented, right? And now I'm receiving profits from the rental properties. Okay. So it doesn't happen overnight, right? It is a work in progress. You have to go in there, you have to put in the work, but right, using credit, it can actually get you there. Okay, so that is the power of using OPM. And these are some of the avenues that you guys can invest into. We talked about a lot of different things. If you guys have any questions, you can feel free to drop the questions in the comments. But, this is how we make money using credit and how we're able to get access to it. Now, I will tell you guys this. In order to get access to 150K in funding, like I was able to do, first you're going to need to repair your credit. Okay. You're going to also want to know how to understand the credit space. Okay. A lot of people don't understand, and you can fall into a lot of traps if you don't understand the credit space and you don't have the knowledge to back up the funding. Okay. So I want you guys to go and get my free ebook, which is at dazzlu.com. You guys can actually, I'm going to write it here. It's DAZLOO.com. Okay. You guys can go to dazzlu.com and you guys can get my free ebook. I'm not charging anything for the information. I believe this information can help you guys get to the next level, which is why I'm giving it to you for free. Now, once you go to dazzlu.com, you'll be automatically able to get the free ebook. Okay, so the free ebook is going to teach you the 5 factors of building your credit. It's also going to teach you which banks to go for. It's also going to give you a funding strategy because, in this credit space, you have to know which banks have different rules. Okay, so in the ebook, I teach you which rules you need to be aware of when you're going for high limit credit cards and high limit funding. In the ebook, I also tell you how to liquidate the credit cards as well. So there's so much game in that free ebook that I'm giving you guys, and I'm giving you guys my best stuff in that ebook. So you should definitely check it out. It's a good read for those of you guys that like to sit, take a couple minutes and read. For those of you guys that like one-on-one coaching, for those of you guys that like, to be able to have calls just like this on a weekly basis. Yes, I host these live sessions. Yes, this will be posted on my YouTube channel. But if you guys want, phone calls where you guys can call me and ask me questions on the spot, you guys can get access to my mentorship program. Right now, it's only one-time fee of $100, and we'll actually, give you the funding strategy. I'll actually look at your credit profile and tell you what you need to do in order to get access to 150K in funding. And I'll evaluate your situation and tell you, hey, look, I believe this investment stream, this investment avenue is going to be great for you. And this is how you should do it. And this is how you should go about it. And this is how you should get into it. So you can find all of my products, my mentorship, everything, the free ebook at dazzlu.com, which is DAZLOO. You can find all of that at dazzlu.com. And also, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe on the video because we'll be dropping a lot of more content just like this, where you guys can watch videos and be educated and be informed on, these type of investment stream avenues. And you guys can also, get more educated and more information, right? Because we'll be going deeper into the credit space on the next video as well. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. With that being said, we do offer credit repair services. If you guys are struggling with bad credit, you guys can also go to dazzler.com, book a phone call, so that we can get familiar with what your credit situation looks like. And from that point on, we can actually plug you into our credit repair software and we can fix your credit for a one-time fee of $100. So if that's something that you guys are interested in, make sure you guys go to dazzler.com. Other than that, that was pretty much the entirety of the video. I hope you guys got some value, got some information. If you did, drop a like on the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one every single Sunday at 8 p.m. Peace.